I have the results from the overnight tracking.
You know, it's not fair. I mean, every other
Podcast
had all the Russians to blame for everything. What have I got?
For an unpopular podcaster, it's time to give war a chance.
Dad.
What are we going to do for an enemy now?
A riot between Americans and Canadians broke out last night.
Now, with a little inspiration,
All I said was Canadian beer sucks!
Give me 1 week and I'll have Americans burning maple leaves.
they'll create a cause worth fighting for.
Is
Shawn Windsor.
a member of a satanic cult?
You asked it around, get the question around my face. It's gone.
What are you doing? Come on.
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now?
Hey kids, it's your old pal, ML Elric. And before we get too far, I just have to tell you the answer to that last question is yes. Shawn Windsor is a member of a satanic cult. Shawn, it's time to come clean.
I knew somebody that said he was a member of a satanic cult. He wrote a Yamaha, was it a Verata? No, I can't remember what kind of VMAX. A VMAX? Was that a thing in the early 80s?
Of course you knew somebody.
It's a crotch rocket, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or a
And
blender?
He used to talk about sacrifices and all this sort of thing. And then one night we were all at Kentucky Fried Chicken and we got held up. So that's what I remember about him.
Wait, what? You got held up?
Yeah.
I think you've told that story. I remember that
have.
story.
But he was part. Yeah, he was part of that. He was actually he actually got the back door locked before the gunman could get in, and then he went outside and took the drive-through gal who just walked out and put a gun to her head and tried to get us to open the door.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, but
You okay?
But the guy that saved us told us he was part of a satanic cult. So life is
So hail Satan. Thank God.
Hail Satan.
Life is gray.
Wow. So Shawn wearing the toque both to show his fealty to Canada, our new enemies, and to cover his horns. So,
By the way, why aren't you in a Soul of Detroit sweatshirt or hoodie or cap or something? Marc and I are again towing the company line, and you're over there worried about the fucking Spartans.
management. I'm management.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not on the front lines.
That's why he's got a tie on.
When you're at the drive-thru getting robbed or handing out the Colonel's corn and whatnot at the counter, I'm in the back making sure that we're only hiring really hot and pliant young women to work the fryers. That's management. That's how it works.
The Colonel's corn.
Whatever. He serves corn, doesn't he?
He does.
And
I heard.
And Colonel, of course, is a very important part of corn. So it works on both levels.
Oh my God. That might be the worst pun you've ever had. That's pretty bad.
I'm working on very little sleep here. But anyway, that's Marc Fellhauer there, not a satanic cult member. And like Ronald Reagan Jr., not afraid to go to hell.
All right.
Did you guys ever listen to the POTUS channel?
No.
The Politics of the United States on Sirius XM. They have 3 ads that run in heavy rotation. One is the Steven Singer guy, who, by the way, is a jeweler. So you may as well hate him because he's probably rich and a crook. Number 2, the Freedom from Religion
Nice
Foundation.
generalization about jewelers.
Oh, sorry. You know, it's the whole blood diamond thing. Then there's the Freedom from Religion Foundation that basically whatever money they raise, they spend on ads encouraging you to become an atheist. And then the third ad they run is Mike Huckabee trying to get you a free copy of this children's book about why Donald Trump is saving America. I'm like, what a weird range of sponsors they have. And that book about trying to get your kids to love Donald Trump, doesn't that feel a little kind of indoctrinal? Doesn't it seem a little weird?
Oh, yeah, totally.
I mean, it reminds me of this parody story that they had in The Onion back in the Clinton days, where they had a headline that says, The Onion, one of their big headlines was an article about teaching your daughter how to suck the president's dick. And I'm like, that was one of many times I wished I had not bought my grandparents a subscription to The Onion for Christmas, because when you come home and you see that sitting on their kitchen table, you're like, yeah, I'm responsible for that. But they were pretty cool. I think that same episode had the headline about how Strom Thurmond was introducing legislation to ban telegraph porn. which I thought was both ahead of its time.
Who was the Southern senator? Was he from Alabama that went to pull his handkerchief out of his suit coat pocket and pulled out underwear, women's panties instead?
Oh, geez.
Boy, would that have been Blaze from the movie Blaze?
That actually happened.
Oh, Huey Long?
It sounded like an Onion headline, but Wimp? No, somebody Wimp. No, that was a coach.
I'll look it up for you.
David Wimp? Yeah. Normally, the caliber of senators we have these days, when they pull a handkerchief out of their pocket, I keep thinking there'll be more handkerchiefs, and they'll just keep coming out like a clown at a really bad birthday party. But they're actually senators, and they make decisions. And I'm sure one of those decisions they will make soon is that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will be the head of Health and Human Services. And if you've been watching any of the confirmation hearings, you should be very afraid, because there's no vaccination against putting a nut job in charge of an agency that's supposed to help protect us against all these different bugs that are flying around. But I
have your answer. Senator Howell Heflin.
Oh, from
Howell
Alabama,
Heflin.
yes.
Yeah.
He was one of those guys that had like a gobbler that went all the way down to his breasts.
Even more than me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. He looked like an old Shawn Windsor.
Okay.
Without the horns.
Which is what I'd look like now, right? Kind of.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, he was one of those guys when he'd get up, they'd be like, and you're like, is this guy even talking? What's going on? It sounds like it's one syllable that's been drawn out for an hour.
But good for him for pulling panties out of his coat pocket.
I'm reading the statement he placed when he did that in 1994. I mistakenly picked up a pair of my wife's white panties and put them in my pocket while I was running out of the door to go to work. Rather than take a chance on being embarrassed again, I'm going to start buying colored handkerchiefs. Okay, that sounds like a likely story.
If anybody remembers what Howell Heflin looked like, and I don't expect you to, my guess is that his wife's panties could have doubled as one of those things you put over your car in the winter so it doesn't get dust on it in the garage.
So you're making assumptions.
Yeah, I'm figuring those panties would not have fit in his pocket unless he was wearing like...
Do you not know what money and power do? Why are you making that assumption?
There he is.
Oh, she's actually quite demure.
She's all yours.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. My apologies to the late wife of the great senator from Alabama, Howard Heflin. She actually is hideous and skinny. So it's good to know.
Oh my
it's
God.
good to know that that's an option for political power brokers.
The depth in here is pretty great, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
Is this a good time to mention that all this is the fault of Luke Nowacki and Pinnacle Wealth Strategies, who sponsors us week in and week out in the Caju Cafe, where you can see some great bands, including some of the fellows we're about to introduce, who are putting on a big gig this weekend, not at the Caju Cafe, at the New Dodge Lounge. You should probably go to the Caju Cafe.
That's different from Doge?
For business reasons. But, yeah, Vivek Ramaswamy and his jug band will be playing in Ohio as he tries to make himself a populist.
See how I set him up there? I mean,
I know. For a long tangent.
He's got I guess their latest hit is I'm Just Like You and You're All Laid Off Scum.
Good job, Shawn.
It's doing very well.
I just love to see the brain work. It's fun.
It's doing very well on Ohio Public Radio until they're
His work and
defunded.
mine melt.
Which may be before this show posts.
Or rot away. I'm sorry. What's going on?
So anyway, Caju Cafe and Caju Cafe, which is a segue to our other big sponsor, is you, because we cadged some money off of you every month as a member of our Soulmates. That's our Patreon support. We had a great discussion going on until I started talking, but we appreciate when you sponsor the show. We have a new member of the Soulmates. We'll talk a little bit about her later on in the show. No relation to the Heflins. And we appreciate it when you support us, because like the American economy, it's getting tougher. And if you keep us coming back every week with as little as $5 a month, you get great benefits, like you can watch the show, you can avoid the insertion ads, and you get our outstanding monthly bonus episode, which we will be recording today and posting later on this month. But we have special guests here, two guys who have done a lot of good for big causes, trying to cure diseases. Greg, did you guys cure that last disease that you guys were trying to cure?
No, I don't think we did.
Okay, well, so maybe they're not as effective as we had thought when we booked them. And then Max Prokop is here. Not only has he produced some of the great music beds that you hear on the back end of our show, but he's the leader of the unofficial house band of the ML for Detroit City Council campaign, which of course also worked out really. Oh shit!
Sorry about that. It's my fault.
Okay. Well, can we get to our next guests? I forgot we got these two guys who are allowing diseases to proliferate and good candidates to crash and burn. So, wow. Let's get back to OJ.
I know we had a pretty good show earlier.
I was the one who said record. I said, let's get to it.
No, but even before that, we were talking Grammys, we were talking the Firework, we were talking a lot of music on pretty much that you hate everything.
Oh yes, the Robinson brothers, dicks, not good dicks like the Kinks and Oasis, but
and Radiohead.
Black Crowes. Radiohead has brothers in it.
Yes.
Oh really?
Greenwoods.
Okay. And of course the greatest band of all time that has no brothers in it, but everybody has the same name. Duran Duran with the Taylor non-triplets. But before I forget, I need to tell you that this Saturday at the New Dodge Lounge in Hamtramck, the Common Scolds will be playing with a very interesting opening set. You're going to have the King's English, and we'll be debuting their new single later on in the show in room 7609, and Shasta Fox. So these are two great bands that are kind of similar because Max is in both of them. One plays original music, one plays some outstanding covers, and then the Common Scolds are playing at 10. Greg has been on with us before. Still working on that cure.
Who's Greg?
Greg Robles. Oh, sorry, Brian Robles. Oh, that's right. That's right. Greg was supposed to cure the disease. Brian has cured many diseases and has several patents.
Yes.
So most of them for sex devices, but
what are you talking? You did get no sleep.
Yeah, no. Sorry, Brian was the one who came up with the name for Steely Dan. Was one of his
that was William S. Burroughs.
Favorite sex devices.
It was William S. Burroughs.
Yeah.
Was it William S. Burroughs? Oh, okay. Your uncle William? Uncle Billy?
You are digging a deeper hole every sentence you say.
Somebody get in here, please. I'm floundering. I'm dying.
So we're going last on Saturday because we want them to actually be able to play, since you say we played too long. So
I wouldn't say that you played too long. I would say that you had so much talent and such a large catalog that it made it difficult for others to.
Yeah, ask that again.
What's the context
Max
of this?
came on. Was it your first time on here?
Yeah.
And Max and Marc and ML mentioned playing with another band of lawyers. And then Max was telling about the little lawyer music niche that we have. And ML said, yeah, those guys are good, but they really played too long. Now, me being the guy who promotes our band, I was like, we need to post this because that's great. And the rest of the band was like, he's ripping on us. I'm like, but that's good. Like, we got mentioned on a podcast and we should. And we were promoting, was that when we were promoting the show in Katrina's backyard?
Oh,
No, it's for the
no.
Lollapalooza, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, it might have been. Yeah, I can't remember which one.
But I was like, we should post that because that's publicity.
So
but this is also a guy that hates Van Halen and hates the Black Crowes and hates.
We don't play either of those things.
No, I know, but that should be.
Actually, I think
based
of them,
on his musical taste and his opinion about music, you should just disregard everything he says.
Wait,
right?
I think of them as the Crows because I don't see color.
You're going to die on the Van Halen hill?
It's just the Crows.
Yeah, I will die in a Van Halen hill. Absolutely, they're a great band.
It'd be one thing if you said Led Zeppelin, that'd be cool. But Van Halen. What about Journey?
I don't Journey.
What about ZZ Top?
ZZ Top's great, fantastic. No Van Halen.
80s ZZ Top or 70s ZZ Top?
Both, but more 70s stuff. Yeah.
Did any band transition from the 70s to the 80s and do okay, or any pop act?
Well, I mean, I guess you could argue Aerosmith kind of rebooted themselves after they got cleaned up. Or does Aerosmith suck too?
In the 80s, yes.
All right.
Only the Smiths, according to Mike Elrick, were good in the 80s.
That's the only band that matters.
Dream on, Shawn. Dream on. Dream a little dream come true.
You guys are the worst. I figure you both hate Van Halen.
Marc, don't ask me what I think of you. I might not
you
give
guys
the
like
answer
Van
that you
Halen?
want me to.
Ask the musicians in the room.
Oh, yes.
You guys like Van Halen?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you actually like their music, or do you appreciate the musicianship?
All of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
I don't love every single Van Halen song, but there are some really great ones.
What about when Sammy Hagar came along?
I like Van Hagar.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I mean, they're not my top 10 favorite bands, but I think, to me, the two best guitarists are Jimi Hendrix and Eddie Van Halen and everybody else.
Is it wrong that I love the best of both worlds?
No, not at all.
That's
Yeah.
kind of
You like
that's
what you
kind of a
like.
jam.
That's my favorite album, 5150.
It'd be bad if you liked Panama.
I just when Sammy Hagar joined, it was similar to when they made Audio Slave and they took the people from Rage Against the Machine, and I would say the lead singer of Rage and David Lee Roth both had more of like a MC type thing, and then Sammy Hagar and Chris Cornell were like pure singers.
Yeah.
And so I thought both of those was an interesting, like, wow, they are hitting some like really good traditional emotional songwriting, you know.
I think Audio Slave is the most underrated band. I mean, they're so solid and so good. Do you know Audio Slave, Shawn?
Not a whole lot.
See?
That's if there's one show that I could go relive again, it would be Audio Slave at Lollapalooza on their first tour. It was incredible.
I do love the guitar riff, though. The best of both worlds opening guitar. I love. I just like that groove, that rhythm groove.
Did you know he based that on Celebration by Kool and the Gang?
Really?
That makes sense. You could,
Yeah,
yeah, that makes sense.
Well, there's a lot of music this weekend because of the LA concert. This is why we're off on a Black Crows tangent with ML because he hates the Black Crows, and they performed at the LA benefit. I thought they were.
He doesn't like the
fantastic.
Black Crows?
No, he doesn't like anything.
You like those better. You like him better than Van Halen, though, probably, right? He just didn't like. I mean, Van Halen wasn't a classic blow dry band, but he didn't like any of the blow dry stuff, except for Poison. For some reason, he loved Poison.
More of a Rat guy, actually.
What about Iron Maiden?
I do love Iron Maiden.
They weren't really the blow dry, though. That was more.
I liked Van Halen better than I liked the Black Crows.
No, the Grammys were also last night.
I saw Van Halen concert, by the way.
Did you?
Yeah.
And you were angry the whole time?
Reunion,
worshiping
Reunion
Satan.
Arena in the early 80s in Dallas.
How high were you?
Yeah, probably.
Is that a Beans night?
No, but back in those days, people used to climb into vans and take shoe polish and write what they were going to go to the hits.
But I wanted to ask, because we have musicians here, I wanted to ask, the Grammys are last night. It's all pop. There's very little guitar in it. And like, I just wanted you guys' opinion on, is this because you're older? Like, do we not like popular music anymore? Is it just, what is it about popular music that doesn't really strike you guys as being that exciting?
What I remember watching it all the time, 40 years ago with, with Michael Jackson and Prince and Madonna and I don't know, Huey Lewis and new stuff like that. I'm more of a as I got older, more of a straightforward rock guy. So I'm not, the pop stuff that's out now all seems kind of the same to me. I mean, I appreciate the artistry and all that stuff, but none of it is anything I listen to, so I didn't watch.
So no Dua Lipa.
I like the song she did with Elton John.
I can't stand her.
You don't like her?
Cannot stand Dua Lipa. I can't stand Sabrina Carpenter either.
It's because she's not American?
Yeah, that's exactly
why.
Too
skinny.
Yeah. But I love Olivia Rodrigo. She plays guitar. She plays a lot of her stuff.
What about Billie Eilish? I know she's very different from Dua Lipa, but do you like her more?
I don't like when she
the mumblecore.
I don't like it when she
whisper
sings, but I know she can sing, but she's got some stuff that's very different and unique, and I don't know. I don't mind it, and having kids, it really exposes you to a lot more of this stuff. But going to the Grammys last night, it's like, okay, where is the rock music?
Rock's always been underrepresented at the Grammys, and like famously, the first year that they had a heavy metal category, Jethro Tull beat Metallica. So it goes to show you what they know about
Jethro Tull beat who?
Rock and metal.
They were the
everybody.
Metallica.
Yeah.
Oh, Metallica.
They beat Metallica in the first year of a heavy metal category.
Yeah. Iron Lung doesn't quite match Iron Maiden when it comes to heavy metal.
The Lions coach is trying to bring back
Aqualung, sorry.
Bring back heavy metal. He's a huge Metallica guy.
Well, who isn't? Do you not like them?
They're fine.
They're so weird.
Why?
I bet you.
I was a soul.
Eric, do you hate Metallica too?
I met James. What's his nuts?
That wasn't
one
the
time.
question.
He was a very
You're
nice
a rock guy. Mike's a new wave guy. I
love Enter Sandman. I like a lot of their stuff.
I like the Isley brothers, or the Brothers Johnson, or anybody with brothers in the name.
But I wouldn't sit down and
Just like
say
brothers in general.
I wouldn't sit down and say, I got some time on my hands. I want to relax. Let me cue up some Metallica.
When we were roller skating, we
now if I was late for an appointment,
Flashlight came on,
and I had to go at 100 miles an hour, I would put on some
Kiss.
Metallica.
What are you talking about over there?
I was trying to answer your
Not
question.
you.
That's
I
just
know. I
what-
was listening to you.
That's
not
how I
him.
grew up. I grew up listening to George Clinton or Parliament, and
So did I.
He grew up listening to Joy Division.
No, I grew up
And
listening
you grew up listening to Black Oak, Arkansas.
No, I didn't start listening to new wave music until 1985 when I met this chick who really turned me on to it. Before that, I was strictly heavy metal. It was all heavy metal and stuff that my mom had, like
so not like Captain Beefheart and shit.
no,
Oh,
she
God.
had Queen, she had what Year of the Cat? What's his name?
Al Stewart.
Al Stewart. Yeah,
Oh,
she had a
good-
very
good
eclectic
call.
music collection. And I would just listen to all that stuff. And then I got into metal on my own. And then my brother was a total metalhead. I think I've mentioned on this show before that he was in a band with two guys who made headlines, one for good reasons, one for bad. One was a tremendous trombone player and weightlifter who could also shred, named Steve King, who was executed at the Carnegie Deli during a ripoff of a weed house in the early 2000s. I wrote his obituary for the Free Press. And the other guy in the band was a kid named John, who was the preppiest kid I think I ever met in the preppiest school on the face of the earth, who's now known as John 5.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. So that was kind of the milieu. And they used to play Sunday nights at a bowling alley in Detroit called the Falcon Rock Fortress, who had like a open jam, battle of the bands or something on Sunday nights. And I always knew when they were playing because all the metal choke collars would be off our dogs because they were borrowing them to wear for their outfit for the show when they performed as the Blizzard of Oz at the Falcon Rock Fortress on the east side of Detroit. So
I didn't know you grew
all
up
metal.
I didn't know you were a metal guy early on.
The only exception is on my own.
Did you know that,
I found Duran Duran. I liked metal and Duran Duran.
And meanwhile, I'm listening to Player and Leo Sayer.
Well, the other thing is
when I ventured out of Parliament and stuff, those were the white artists I was listening to as Player.
I also was really into hip hop too, back in like the early '80s before it got all bitches and guns and money and shit like that. When it was more.
Did you know all the words
positive.
to Rapper's Delight?
I don't think I knew all of them, but that was kind of old by the time I got into it. I mean, I was into
That was late 70s,
like
yeah.
Houdini and Run DMC and the Real Roxanne and Rockmaster Scott and the Dynamic 3, all that other stuff. But the thing is, if you listen to the
Metal
electrifying,
and Duran Duran.
but if you listen to the Electrifying Mojo and the Midnight Funk Association, he would play Aerosmith and then he would play Prince. I mean, it was an amazing mix of everything you could think of, and a lot like that mashup we were watching before the show from Saturday Night Live. He would fade one song into the next song, and they were completely disparate tunes, but it flowed so well. You're like, oh my God, maybe all this music has something in common.
To Max's point, the mashup of Eddie Van Halen and Kool and the Gang.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I love that. I can't stop thinking about that.
Yeah, I mean, all this talk about like these different genres and everything. I think a lot of people I know are sort of like, it's the iPod in your pocket. It might have. I might listen to Metallica and then Marvin Gaye and then Astrid Gilberto. I don't know. Like I could listen to such a wide array of things as long as it's good. I don't really have like a hard exclusionary stance.
You don't have any genre that you're like, I can't get into.
Well, you didn't grow up listening to albums, did you? Or did you?
Sure.
Are you old enough?
Yeah, I was born in the 70s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I like about the Common Scolds. They have a song from every one of those genres, and they will play them all over the next 7 hours.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky. If you're lucky.
But is there a genre that you're like, because for me, it was always country. Like, I don't understand country. I don't like it. It just seemed, I don't know. It didn't resonate with me. But now it's almost like rock is country now in a way.
Yeah.
Country is pop.
But
outlaw country, Patsy Cline, that's great.
Yeah. Like there are genres I don't go deep into, and I wouldn't want to sound like a poser and say that I knew a lot about them. But like, Chris Stapleton, Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
I mean, like when it's good, I'm down.
I've always maintained though that Johnny Cash is really rock and not really country.
How about he's just interesting?
Yeah,
no, he is.
He's an artist.
But growing up, I always thought he was
Listen to him
country.
speak and you're like, okay.
But until I got
tapped into something,
until I really got deep into it, I'm like, oh, this guy is more rock and roll than country to me.
That's such a good point, though. Max makes to me that it made me think about. I started looking at what's on my phone because we don't carry it around albums.
No, I can't.
It can be as eclectic and yeah.
I'm trying to think of even the last album that I would listen to straight forward and back. Maybe Eminem's new album because the kind of all wound together, but other than that, no, it's usually single or single. What are you looking at now, Shawn?
Just T-Rex, Edward Sharpe, and the Magnetic Zeros.
Yeah.
Next to War, next to Rufus, next to Shaka Khan, next to...
I think I'd rather have you DJ than Elric.
William Devon, Erykah Badu, Joy Division, and then fucking Donnie Iris, just because I like Aaliyah, because it makes me think of
Donnie Iris, the pride of Pittsburgh. Do you compute?
But that's
who doesn't love
a
Donnie
totally
Iris?
Nonsensical list, right?
It's a band I used to go see growing up downriver, and they played that song by Donnie Iris. That's the only Donnie Iris song I know still.
Oh, Donnie Iris has a few really good. He looks
did
like
have a
the
few
guy,
hits, but that was probably his biggest hit, right?
He looks like the guy from Buggles, but only not as cool.
Oh, but
which is still not sing-on.
Max made me look at my list in a different way. Take it, Max.
You're welcome. Although vinyl is coming back. I've been slowly building up a little vinyl collection.
Is it a hipster thing or is it an actual?
I mean, I guess partially. I could tell you why I like it. It's sort of like making a craft cocktail. You know, you
effort.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you have a whole experience surrounding it, and like there was just a little part of my house where I was like, I want to put something there, and I just thought aesthetically that would be like the coolest thing to put there. But then I don't know, there's something about when you go through the ritual of taking it out and putting it on the player and booting it up. I don't know, it makes you kind of appreciate it, you know. Because I'm not gonna sit here and say that like, oh, if it's not on vinyl, I don't want to listen to it. I mean.
But so does that force you then? You do listen to the whole album, and then do you think about as a musician why the songs and how they put them in order and what they're the story of that, or is that
sometimes not every time, but sometimes, yeah. It's just fun to have people over and just spin records.
Mm-hmm. You know, vinyl. My drawback on vinyl is 22 and a half minutes or so. I can't really relax if I got to turn it over, but. With vinyl, what I loved about it is I was more.
Well, you can't sit still for 20 minutes?
I can barely sit still for this show. You're going to have to pee twice before I finish this sentence. So I don't want you coming down on me there, Beelzebub.
Yeah, but I can relax. It's just my bladder doesn't always cooperate. That's, you know.
Okay, now we're too into urea already. But the thing about vinyl is I always felt like I was more into the music because the album art, the liner notes. You put the album on, you're like, well, you know, I got to get up in 22 minutes, so let me take a look at it.
Nothing else to distract you, right, Mike?
Well, it's just
no phone. You're not streaming anything.
Yeah, so there's that too, absolutely. But the other thing is, it was interesting. It was something where there was content there, and so you could listen to the music. Oh, who's playing that horn riff? Let me see. And you look down. It's okay.
I miss liner notes.
And then you start looking, and you say, oh, I think it's almost like watching the credits in a movie where you're like. Oh, that 10th guy there, he was in a movie 5 years later where he was like the second guy. He was the bad guy. And then you could make connections. It's like, oh, yeah, Tom Scott always plays the horn on everything that's made in the 70s or the 80s because he was the best guy. Or, oh, that's the dude who was in the Blues Brothers band. That's Duck Dunn.
Now,
you know, and now you don't have – and when you look at Pink Floyd, the Hypnosis that was done by a guy named Storm Thurgerson – he was strictly an artist. He played no instruments whatsoever, but he was an integral part of Pink Floyd. And as an artist, he influenced not only their music, but where they were going in terms of visual presentation. And he was sort of one of these, almost like a George Martin without producing. And you had all that with vinyl. And you had it to some extent with CDs, although the older I get, the less I can read that kind of print. But now when I just pull something up on my phone, it just plays and I'm like, whatever, man. It's almost like more white noise than an immersive musical experience where it's visual, it's auditory, and it's cerebral because now I'm thinking about it and looking at it. And one of the albums my mom had was the Queen one where the robot kills all the members of Queen. And I was a little kid and it would make me sad. I was like, what happened? Why did they do that to this really virulent, masculine? And that's Freddie. So I, again, I was young. I didn't know the whole story. And I said, who's this really fruity guy with all the hair? It's like, no, that's the guy who got all the chicks. I'm like, when you're 6, you don't understand all this shit.
Yeah,
but I'm looking at it.
My brother had Quiet Riot, Metal. I can't remember the name of the album.
Metal Health.
Metal Health. Yeah. Then I remember being a kid and going,
but even back
album
then,
cover's scary.
But even back then, sometimes if you'd want the whole album because how much you like the music of the artist. But then you just sometimes wanted a song, and we had 45s. And I remember having a stack because you just wanted one song. Like, I don't want to listen to a whole
Perfect for your lovemaking, Shawn.
I don't want to listen to a whole album of Big Punisher.
The letter. It just
or the
hits
Big
it
Pun,
right.
but I want to hear Still a Player or whatever, right? I've got it on my phone.
Your theme song.
No, that's actually Mike's theme song. You made me think with the credits in the movies, we do that in real time now, right? Like if I'm streaming a show and I see somebody,
God, yeah.
I immediately get on my phone, I look at the cast, and then I find out where have I seen him.
You don't even have to get on your phone anymore.
You can do it immediately.
You can do it on the screen.
You can find their whole. I just do it on the phone, so you don't interrupt on the screen. But yeah, you can find out the whole history. You don't have to wait.
Well, now you can tab down
for the credits.
Now you can tab down and get the on some of the streaming services. You can see who's in the scene and what movies have they been in, and you can pause it and you can look at stills from other movies they've been in.
This is the way. But I do it on my phone so I don't interrupt the flow of the stream.
Well, the liner notes.
Back to your stream.
The liner notes is how the whole Yacht Rock thing got started because those guys were buying it and they were looking at all the guys that played on, like you mentioned, Steely Dan, and then Michael McDonald was singing on this, and then this Kenny Loggins album, and then that's a great documentary. Also,
have you both seen that documentary?
Yeah, it's excellent.
What's cool is my son watched it with me, and he told me, and he's 25, and he's told me all his friends love Steely Dan. Love almost anything Michael McDonald sings on. Yeah,
I can appreciate it. I just can't.
It's making a comeback.
Cannot listen to it. I understand the musicianship is great and the production is that's the kind of stuff I really get into. Phenomenal. I just can't listen. I can't listen to it. Toto.
Not even Toto. You don't like Toto?
I can't do it. I don't know what it is.
Did you guys like the documentary?
I thought it was great.
The documentary was awesome.
Yeah, Steely Dan's your Radiohead, Mark.
Did you see the thing that?
Damn you!
Did you see the thing that Fred Armisen
that's
said?
a great call because if you think about that sort of aficionado where you have the musical snobs, Brecker and Fagan, there's nobody who was a bigger music snob than those guys. Agreed. I mean, they're
what was
Fred Armisen said something in that documentary I thought was cool. He said there are two genres where it was named after the fact: classical and yacht rock. It's not like Mozart and all them were saying, we're going to write some classical music today.
Yeah, that was pop.
Yeah.
That was pop in 1840.
It was just music.
Yeah. Right.
It was just music.
And Solieri was the guy saying, turn it down! And take this pill.
I like that story where Kenny Loggins was talking about knocking on Michael McDonald's door and he could hear the dun, dun, dun. Yeah, exactly. What was that? And the wife or the sister, somebody said, oh, that's nothing. Yeah, that was fun.
I think the only thing I don't like about yacht rock is most of the people who really like yacht rock. Like, I don't think I'd want to hang around with all these frat guys.
You and your overgeneralization. It's not just frat guys.
Has it ever been frat guys?
Not really.
Yacht rock?
It's got that. I know what you're saying.
It's got a lot of jobby nooner types.
The frat guys I remember listened to Quiet Riot.
Yeah, or Van Halen.
Pretty much. I don't know what they're listening to now. Rap, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, anything that's popular.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yacht rock and frat guys.
Yeah.
Again.
I see a lot of guys wearing bucket hats listening to yacht rock. Sorry. Maybe it's just me. I'll go back to my
love these.
I just think it's fun that the kids these days are into this genre. That's cool.
Hey, I get it. I just don't like it. I don't know.
You love it.
I don't.
I think you love it.
Before we let these guys go, tell us a little bit about the gig, and then tell us a little bit about your thoughts on the OJ documentary, because I'm never going to watch it.
Why?
But I know you guys have watched it. I just don't watch them. I just started watching Paradise, by the way. Has anybody watched this on Hulu?
I saw the first episode the other night.
Any good?
And I don't, after what was it, The Juror? That reality show where only the juror didn't know that it was a reality show.
That was great.
It's so under.
Ever since I watched that, I have become the biggest James Marsden fan in the world.
You buy him as the president, though?
No, but when you watch the show, I watched the first 3 episodes. he's actually like a tech guy who got made the president by this diabolical tech woman. And
I love her. She was great in Boardwalk Empire.
Sinatra. I can see somebody.
Julianne Nicholson, I think is her name.
I can see somebody taking somebody like that who would be palatable and elevating them to be the president, which I think is where we're going with this show. But it's really good. So I really like that, but I don't watch that many documentaries. I did watch the
was there a
the
question
Wham
to our guests
documentary
in there, by the way?
I was a little disappointed.
Was there a question there? I thought.
Well, yeah, I just. Well, you're on top of things, Mr. Helper. Why don't you just run in? Why don't you just take over here, brother?
I thought you already. Yeah.
What'd you guys think of the?
And you're not wearing the hat I gave you either.
Do
by
you
the way.
guys remember the question?
Yeah, it was about the OJ doc.
Yeah. Well, I watched it, and I just think the benefit of hindsight is the big thing. Where it's been 30 years, everyone's had all the time to think about it and see how it's affected the broader culture. And you know, they had a lot of people that were involved in it. You know, they had that Chris Darden.
Furman.
They had Furman. They didn't have Marcia Clark. They had Carl Douglas that was like part of the Dream Team.
I think he's the only guy, the only remaining living guy from the Dream Team, right?
That's Johnny Cochran.
Oh, no, Sheck is still alive, I believe. Sheck
Barry Sheck, Innocence Project.
Yeah.
They had Ron Goldman's sister, and it kind of attacked it from every different angle, and they did a good job of taking you minute by minute the night of the murder and then the aftermath. And
it's the first. There's so many OJ documentaries. It was the first one that really had every major thing from the trial in it, from Dennis Fung to Furman's cross-examination. If there's no more sympathetic figure than Kim Goldman.
Right.
And she has a line in there that just really breaks your heart. She's like, I don't want to be talking about this anymore. I don't want to, but I know if I don't do these things, then Ron never gets mentioned. Ron Goldman is just the afterthought because he's not even the main victim. And it's like, oh my God, how heartbreaking is that?
Yeah.
You know, it's funny when you just said that, I was thinking that must be Nicole's sister, but it's
Kim Goldman. Yeah, Ron, because
I was thinking Goldman is like, what is it, a married name? It's like, no, that's the guy who tried to return the glasses.
And it's really interesting.
Tip your servers, by the way, folks.
At the end of it,
bring your glasses with you.
Mom's glasses, but it was really interesting too because when OJ finally gets convicted of a crime and sentenced when he stole his own stuff back, they were in the court, and it was interesting to hear Kim Goldman say, you know, in a way, we kind of got this going because we kept going after his money to the point where they had to sell his agent had to sell memorabilia. And it's like, wow, it's a very interesting way to look at it. She also, another heartbreaking moment, they talk about the civil trial. And they're like, it wasn't about the money. We were just glad that OJ was responsible. And we had a jury mention it and say, yes, he murdered our brother and son and his wife or ex-wife at the time. And then she goes, but the problem is he walked out the same door that we did. We both walked out, and then he went and fucking got ice cream on his way home, and just because he knew he was being followed. I mean, he's very calculated. It's just nobody ever thinks of the Goldmans. It's awful. It's always about juice.
Or Nicole.
Nah, very rarely about Nicole. It's always about OJ and how he beat the system.
Max, you mentioned minute by minute, which of course makes me think
minute by minute.
Exactly.
By minute.
So which did y'all like? Which do you recommend more? The Juice documentary or the Yacht Rock documentary?
Or the what? Oh, the Yacht Rock?
Or the Juice documentary? Which would you recommend?
Do you want to feel good or feel bad?
Great answer.
I haven't watched the OJ one yet, so I'd have to default to the Yacht Rock one.
God, they're both really well done. I think Max you put it the best way. If you want to have fun and kind of a little frivolity, Yacht Rock. But if you really want to relive, especially I think we're all similar in age. I know, Brian, you're the same age as me. It's like, we were in a really interesting period of our lives there in college and stuff where it was integrated in what we were learning. So, I mean, everybody followed that trial. So it's weird to go back and look at it.
That's the Kennedy assassination of our lifetime.
Yep.
The Bronco chase was the night before my high school graduation party. My dad and I would set up a table, go back in and watch. Go set up a table, go back in and watch.
God, damn.
Yeah, that's you didn't miss that much in between setups. I mean,
no, but we didn't know if we were gonna.
Yeah, I remember walking out of the newsroom at the Concord Monitor in New Hampshire, and that was when we had TVs mounted on the wall, and they were the big, picture tube TVs, and looking up, and it was late, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? It's like, there's a white Bronco going down the highway. I'm like, I know there's not that much going on in Concord, New Hampshire on a Friday night, but why the hell are we watching this? It's like, well, OJ's in there. And back then, this tells you how long ago it was. It was interesting that the police were talking to the driver on the phone. We're like, he's got a phone in the car and they're going slow down the highway. I mean, wow.
I think people forget, too, that there was a whole week-long buildup to that chase, too. I mean, he dominated the coverage for a week.
Which is why there were people
lined up.
Yeah, exactly. What I remember is them interrupting because I love basketball and the NBA in particular, and I was watching the finals with the Knicks and the Rockets, Keem, and they interrupted at one point, which was pretty radical.
There's a 30 for 30 that ESPN did about that too, because it was Arnold Palmer's last U.S. Open, the Rangers Stanley Cup parade,
opening of the World Cup in America,
World Cup, and then there's actually off-air footage of Tom Brokaw and Bob Costas talking about Costas, how do you toss this to me to go into a basketball game when this is going on?
Yeah, that World Cup, by the way, didn't Colombia kill
Escobar?
Own goal against
yeah. That's what I think of when I think of that World Cup.
That was a good documentary too, about the two Escobars.
Yeah, God, yeah. See, there's so many good documentaries out there, Alric.
No, he'd rather watch Shetland, which I don't blame him. It's a great show.
Is James Marsden in any of them?
Now, with OJ, let's say you have a 10-year-old like I do, and she asks what you're watching. How would you explain OJ? Like, who would be today's OJ if they murdered their ex-wife and waiter? Like, who would you explain? Like, who would be the OJ of today? Because I'm trying to show her, like, this guy was bigger. He's huge. He's bigger than life.
What about Joe Biden, the Joe Biden crime family?
No, he didn't murder anybody.
It's not murder.
That's what you say.
That we know of.
Johnny Depp. I mean, it's not murder.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a big movie star. Like, that's what my girls always go, like, they don't want to see anything with Johnny Depp.
Really?
Because of that whole thing. I mean, obviously, it's far cry from murder.
And he got acquitted.
If there's a grumpy in the sheets, then
just imagine
charge
Will
is
Smith
beat?
killed his wife instead of slapping Chris Rock. That would be the equivalent.
Well, I told my 10-year-old, I'm like,
Will Smith's a good comparison. Yeah,
but Mr. Nice Guy, untouchable reputation. Everyone said he was just always magnanimous, in a great mood, and that brand that was sort of bigger than I don't know if it was bigger than his race, but he had this brand that was a name unto itself. For that guy to be revealed as this abuser and almost certainly murderer, and how people took sides, that was the thing that I thought was just amazing, was how divisive it was.
I told my daughter it'd be kind of like if Travis Kelce murdered Taylor Swift.
Oh my God.
Terrible thought. But I'm like, he's a really good football player. All these football fans know he is. And then he's in movies and he's doing ads and he's just everywhere. It'd be kind of like that, don't you think? Except that Taylor Swift's way too famous.
Yeah,
it'd be the other way around.
Yeah,
yeah,
probably. Yeah, I don't know. Elric?
Who's this Taylor Swift of which you speak?
He's thinking about Triumph over there.
He's the worst.
Not the dog, the band.
No, I was trying to think. So
Have you ever sang for them, by the way?
One of our friends.
Fight the Good Fight?
I say
he does sing that.
I saved that for the Rocket. One of our friends who connected us with Rick from Triumph also has been trying to connect us with, I think, Steve Lukather from Toto. I'm trying to.
Mark is not.
I got to think about this.
Well, can you see his reaction?
Played the riff on "Beat It." Toto was basically, as you know from the documentary, was the backup band for Thriller.
Well, they were all studio musicians, and they put it together, and they're great.
I'm just gonna say this: he's not the greatest interview.
Lukather? Wow. Okay. Well, we'll see what.
I hope he doesn't watch this. He'll never come on.
Oh, that's fine. I'll tell him right now.
Fortunately, we've
interviewed him before,
so we're probably good.
We've interviewed him before. He was a terrible interview.
Damn. Who was the guy from Toto who
You're
dropped
making sure he's not going to come on. I like it. You see what he's doing there?
No, I'm warning the host who would have to interview him that he is not a very good interview.
I'll carry it as usual.
And frankly, if you watch the Yacht Rock documentary, you can tell he's not the greatest interview when you watch that documentary.
But he never killed his wife and a waiter.
Yet.
That we know of.
Did you guys like it when
nobody would care. Max.
When they finally got a hold of, who did they get a hold of and he hung up on him? Was that
that was Fagan.
Oh, Donald Fagan.
Yeah.
Or
I heard the Juice was a
go
great
fuck
interview.
yourself or
yeah. That was something I thought was interesting, because there is a debate about the yacht rock label, and there's a guy that I follow on YouTube. His name is Rick Beato, and he's this really great.
Oh, I love him.
Beato.
Yeah.
I love
really
him.
Great musician, producer, and now he's become this big time YouTube personality, and he gets huge interviews like, Sting. Like Sting doesn't sit down for an interview with just anybody. So he's got real cred, and he was like offended by the Yacht Rock documentary. Like, these guys, it's not yacht rock. These guys are great musicians and all that stuff. But I want to be like, okay, but I feel like the documentary made them look good, made them look like magnanimous, cool guys. And now there's a stadium tour. Now it's Toto. Like, tell me that didn't have anything to do with it. So they might be like, just chill, Rick, because we're relevant again and we're getting rich off this.
You got to keep up with what's behind you. We're in a post nerd world, and it doesn't matter anymore. And to me, yacht rock has become a term of endearment.
Yeah,
it's the
it
label.
It used to be a pejorative at one point, right?
No, it'd be like being called soft rock. It's like soft. Let's stick with and
I don't think it's pejorative.
But yacht rock,
not anymore. But I think it was at one point. But
yacht to me is interchangeable with douche. So if I was one of those artists and they said, "Hey, douche rock is coming
good
back,"
way,
I'd be
in
like,
a cleanly way.
Yes.
"Can you leave the douche part
Like in a freshening up kind of way, or
can we call it classic rock, or can we call it art rock or something?"
Yeah,
But
how do you say his name?
rock-
How do you say his name?
Floyd, art rock. Is
Rick
Pink
Beato?
Floyd and-
Beato.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched
Even
him
prog
the other
rock.
day.
I'd be offended by prog rock, but it's a little more.
Okay, what about hair metal or hair rock?
I don't really care how
No,
those
that's
guys
definitely
feel
derogatory,
about it.
but
It's
You
like,
don't
you
really
know.
always have control of the way a genre is named. And like the
With
guys
gangster
who
rap?
started the Yacht Rock little comedy series, it was like a pre-YouTube era little comedy web series. They were nobodies. They were doing it for fun. I don't think they would have ever thought in their wildest dreams, like, we're going to rename this genre. So it didn't come from
they weren't trying to be
place of,
offensive.
spite with those dudes.
Yeah, and Christopher Cross sailing. Okay, put him in yacht rock. He picked that. That's for him.
But he doesn't
was
even
in.
fit.
The only person to ever look like both.
Are you sticking up for
members of-
Christopher Cross now?
You know what? I will stick up for Christopher Cross because watching that documentary, there were two people. There were a couple people on there that I'm like, I don't really like this guy. I thought my opinion of Kenny Loggins went way down. I thought he just took himself way too serious.
How high was it to start
Kind
with?
of a dick. I felt like he was a dick in there. But there were two people that I just absolutely adored their personality. One is Michael McDonald. I mean, the guy can poke fun at himself and laugh. And the other is Christopher Cross. The fact that he wrote, what song is it? The one he does with Michael McDonald. There's such a long way to go, such a long way to go. What's that song?
Ride Like the Wind?
Yeah, he wrote that high on acid in a car. Like,
That's
what?
actually, to me, that's a great song.
I was blown away that he filled in live for Richie Blackmore with
Yes, yes, for his big first gig.
Yeah.
I don't know. He just seemed.
Whoa, wait.
Do you ever watch?
I liked Deep Purple. I liked Richie Blackmore's Rainbow. Christopher Cross and Richie Blackmore. I never expected to have those two names in the same sentence.
You got to think about the structure of music in a song, right? I mean, that's
They
it's
played they played Texas because he was from Texas, and they talk about in the documentary that Richie Blackmore was ill, and they brought in
Christopher
like the local,
Cross can shred.
Yes,
apparently, yeah.
And he's
back
from
then.
Texas.
Think about it.
I had him
I'm
from
gonna
some small
mispronounce his
California
name.
town
Concord,
where
New
they
Hampshire.
only sell
It's Beato,
acoustic
Max?
guitars and Jews harps.
It's Beato. Beato. I watched him a video just last week, but him breaking down what made Ramble On so great, and he thinks it's one of the best songs ever written. It's an amazing song to me. But Mike, they wrote that, and then they did Communication Breakdown. So even within a band, you can have things that sound nothing like the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, but when you get caught between the moon and New York City and space trucking,
that's pretty terrible.
No,
Forget about the lyrics.
I'm not saying I didn't like his music. I just liked him as a guy.
My Lady from Tokyo.
Ride Like the Wind was
and
pretty
sailing.
nice, pretty good.
Come
pop
on,
song.
dude. No one ever imagined that. That's brain snapping.
Ramble On is amazing.
Did you ever see the picture of Christopher Cross? It was like an internet meme. He said, the only person to ever look like both members of Tenacious D in one lifetime.
I saw that.
It's like the young one looked like
Jack Black.
Jack Black, thank you. And the old one looks like Kyle Gass.
Now, with all the changes in the country with Trump, does the guy from Tenacious D get uncanceled now?
Well, Kyle?
I think so. He got canceled, didn't he?
I don't think Kyle does much outside of Tenacious D, like at least in front of the camera. But Jack's been around.
Jack Black dropped him, didn't he?
Yeah, but I've heard that they're like mending their bridges. He sounds like he just made
it was just a bad
joke, poorly timed.
Okay. All right.
By the way, he likes AC/DC. Jack Black, Mike. So there.
I think if he made the joke,
Jack Black is the taste master in my life. What are you talking about?
Should be.
Yeah, exactly.
If Kyle Gass is going to be canceled for that joke, then how many people should get canceled for making like Luigi Mangione jokes?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you.
Like, is that Chuck's brother?
Favorable to him?
No. Shut up. You know who he is. You know who he is.
Got away with the assassination.
I'm going to say I do, just so we can move on. But, it's like...
You don't know who Luigi Mangione is? Do you ever watch the news?
He's Chuck Mangione's
son. I make the news, son.
I do. I don't even.
Is Chuck Mangione's son?
I don't even want to tell you.
I heard when he did it.
I knew it was a Mangione.
He's the guy that shot the president of United Healthcare and murdered him on the street.
Oh, right.
That everybody loves because he's hot.
Right. Yeah, but he can't get a boner and his back hurts. So
I got to tell you, the love for Luigi Mangione is almost. Actually, I think it's worse than O.J. Simpson. The love for OJ back in 1995, 96. Shawn?
I can't get that song you were just, I hadn't heard that in forever.
Feeling Good? Or what song?
The Mangione. Which makes me think of George Benson, which makes me wonder if George Benson is the yacht rock of soul from the 70s.
Chuck Mangione makes me think of the Mike Judge show, King of the Hill. Yeah. Hiding out in the superstore. He lives in the back. He comes out at like midnight and plays his flugelhorn.
Can we have these guys back on, by the way? Because it's fun. It's not that fun in here for a change.
It looks like you're having a blast.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah. Listen, guys, anytime you defend...
Mike hasn't talked as much, so that's just always...
All you got to do is defend the Black Crows and you're on. It's a deal. So, speaking of uncanceled, Greg has been uncanceled. He'll be back in the Common Scolds. Brian has reached out to him and has forgiven him.
Greg was never in the... Our drummer's Greg.
Greg isn't Greg your evil persona?
Loosen the tie.
Oh, okay.
No. You need some oxygen.
I don't have an evil persona.
That's not what I heard on the deep web. But Common Scolds will be playing at the New Dodge Lounge in Hamtramck on Saturday. Doors open at 7 o'clock. Tickets are $12 in advance. It's $15 at the door. Opening up will be the King's English. You're going to hear their new single in just a few minutes. If you can hear it, turn it up because you're going to want to hear this over the sound of Shawn's urination. And then Shasta Fox goes on at 9 o'clock. Please tell me you're going to play Valerie.
We are.
Okay.
Actually, Shasta Fox is opening, but no big deal.
Greg must have given me some bad information here. And then Brian Robillard and Greg's out again.
Does
Greg's
Greg
done.
know Brian?
They claim not to, but who really knows themselves? Man lying to man is one of the biggest things in the world. Common Scolds will be on at 10. They'll be playing until 6 a.m. So you're going to want to catch them. It's a bargain. And hopefully I will see you there too after the Duel in the D at the LCA. So that's the Saturday night, the New Dodge Lounge. Catch the Common Scolds, King's English, and Shasta Fox. It's a bargain. 3 bands, some yacht rock, and all a good time. Thanks, guys.
Oh, man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Does him wanting to play with us again mean that he's turning into a geek, or we're turning into cool guys?
Some podcast producers might think that planning for retirement can be a pain in the bottom. It doesn't have to be that way. If your preparations A through G are a resounding failure, maybe let Luke Nowacki help you out with your preparation H, or as they say in Canada, H, which is why we're taxing the shit out of him. Hopefully he can provide some relief in your time of pain and confusion, that being Luke and not...
No focus.
Not Justin Trudeau.
Sorry,
Call
Luke.
or text Luke at 248-663-4748, because when you call Luke, he'll make it all about you, eh?
Securities and investment advisory services offered through
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc. Member FINRA-SIPC.
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent.
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc.
I was tempted to make CBS my Geek of the Week because they are handing over their raw material from their Kamala Harris interview that was on 60 Minutes. Now, if you remember this, they played a clip of Kamala Harris talking about what was going on in Gaza in the package, which is the story that was part of 60 Minutes. And they played a different clip during their promo or their tease, essentially saying the same thing, but in one of them, she was a little more focused. And with Kamala Harris, sometimes it's tough to get her focused on the issue. And so Trump sued and said that they used one to make her look better as a way to affect the polls, to affect the election and all this stuff. Basically, total bullshit, because this is how TV works. And if anybody knows how TV works, it should be our TV president. And he's been suing a lot of media companies, and they've been knuckling under. And CBS, the Tiffany Network, the network of Edward R. Murrow and Walter Cronkite, decided to hand all this stuff over. So I was going to make them...
Oh, they also settled their lawsuit with them, which you know why they're doing this, right?
Which lawsuit did
There's a merger. Right?
Yeah, Trump sued him for $10 billion over that 60 Minutes thing. But you're right, Shawn. There's a merger that Paramount has with Skydance where that they want to go through, and they're afraid it wouldn't go through if they didn't settle and didn't hand this stuff over to the FCC.
Right. So this kind of stuff...
Corruption.
It's a quid pro quo.
This kind of stuff happens all the time, even at our local stations where you have a more concise sound bite. You use that in the tease, and then you use the longer sound bite in the package, or vice versa, depending how you want to promote it. My real geek of the week is the FCC, because they dismissed this complaint against CBS. Trump and his people said they want to take away one of their licenses, which is like a death sentence to a TV station. The FCC dismissed it and said they're just doing what broadcast stations do, and we do not want to interfere with the way that people who use their broadcast and their journalism entities operate. The minute Trump put his FCC boss in there, he reinstated the case, and now CBS is bending to the pressure, partly because they know who the new boss is, partly because of this merger that Marc and Shawn just referenced, and partly because for all this talk about Biden and the Democrats weaponizing the government, Trump and his people are weaponizing the government. Now, I'm just telling you, if you didn't like it when you thought Biden did it, you shouldn't like it when Trump is actually doing it. And if you're an FBI agent, by the way, today, and you have to fill out a questionnaire as to what you did on your job, and maybe you're going to get your balls squeezed, not what we want our FBI agents focused on. Let's have them looking for the real enemies. Anyway, FCC for weaponizing the government at a time when we were going to end the weaponizing of the government. You are my Geek of the Week.
There's an all-night party in room 7609. And you can dance together all night if you've got the time.
Well, this week in room 7609, the person with the story is with us in studio who's going to tell us a little bit about the tune you're about to hear. This is the world premiere from the King's English of If You're Not Falling in Love. This is the second world premiere we've had from the King's English on the Soul of Detroit. World War IV, which is now being covered by Vivek Ramaswamy on his Greatest Hits album. You can get that, I think, on X. I think they're selling that now. Sorry, when I thought Vivek, nothing.
Are you gonna let him tell us?
Nothing was funny anymore. But yeah, so
tell us about this.
Well, World War IV was a great tune and a great video produced by one of Max's bandmates, Mr. Mike, Magic Mike, they call him, for reasons that we probably shouldn't say on a family show. And so now here is the King's English with If You're Not Falling in Love. Max, you want to tell us about it before we hear it or after?
How about after? Because the Mike also did this one. This one's more of like a graphical video, but the lyrics are in the video, so you can read along.
So if you're a soulmate, you can watch while you listen. And if Shawn says it's okay, we're going to dive right into If You're Not Falling in Love by the King's English. World premiere video and song.
This isn't a game anymore. If you're not the right one for her, then you're blocking the door. You gotta be sure. If I'm telling the truth, I know that you could be mine. If only the stars align. Life can be cruel sometimes. You're not falling in love. You're not falling in love. Walk away at the start. You're not falling in love. You're not falling in love. You're not falling in love. Then don't break her heart. You're not falling in love.
Will the Common Scolds be covering that after the
That's at 6:30. That's the bonus show after we're done. 6:30 a.m.
AM?
AM.
The after party.
Yeah, after party.
Damn.
That was good. I like that
I
video
liked it
too,
too.
man.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So the first video you guys shot at the DeQuinder Cut for
Close
World
to
War
it.
IV. Close to it, yeah.
yeah.
And this is more of a like a visualizer video.
Right.
kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Where can people find it? And all your socials too?
Yeah,
for
we're
both
gonna
you
be
guys?
posting it soon. Probably today.
Okay. And where on YouTube? What should I search?
MySpace?
Yeah, there's there's a
Friendster?
There's
I'm a little
Facebook
behind.
Page. There's a Facebook page. There's also a Bandcamp, which is where all of our stuff is. So if you Google, I think it's called rockedproper.bandcamp.com because I think the King's English was taken by somebody.
Damn. That's a big handle.
I know.
So tell us about this tune. What's the inspiration?
So I think about 12, 13 years ago, I wrote it, and I was just doing it on the piano, and I had that chord, that dun 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 dun, dun, and just the if you're not falling in love popped in. I just felt like it fit, and so I just said, okay, what would a song like that be about? And at its core, I think it's just about not being careless with another person's emotions, like.
Leave at the start, you wrote.
Right, yeah. Like if there's a line in there, if you're not, this isn't a game anymore. If you're not the right one, you're blocking
the door. Yeah. Now, is that the door for somebody better to come in?
Right. Yeah. Like
okay.
Because the song starts, she's got you on her mind all the time, and since it began in her head, she's making all kinds of plans because you're her kind of man. So you like. I'm sure a lot of people, because it wasn't something that was happening at the time. I just found the lyric and I said, all right, what if I told a story around that? But I think that's probably happened to a lot of people where you're
pretty
like,
universal,
they're catching feelings and I'm not sure that I am. And if I stick around, am I doing it for the right reasons? You know?
Yeah. And I think everybody remembers back in elementary school or middle school, you start dating somebody and they start.
You were dating in elementary school? You having sex in elementary school? What are you saying?
You didn't have a girlfriend in elementary school?
A gentleman never. In fact,
middle school?
My very first girlfriend, who I dated in 6th grade, just donated $250 to Clark Park for the fundraiser for kids
Still
in Southwest
paying
Detroit.
dividends.
He was playing the long game.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
it. That's it. Yeah, it was all for the kids, just not ours. But the thing, and she's awesome, by the way. But I think everybody remembers that when some girl you're dating is writing in her notebook her first name and your last name, and I think every man alive, no matter how much they like that girl, gets kind of freaked out. It's like, we're going kind of fast here, and with guys, I think it always goes too fast. You know, it's like the women, they kind of. Okay, this is maybe my clueless man thing, but it always seems that those early relationships,
isn't he, Marc?
Women, I think women tend to be way smarter and more mature than men about relationships and know what they want, and guys are kind of like, oh, you know, and that can if you're not serious about it, and you can tell the other person's serious about it, you should probably really stop and say, okay, wait a minute. Why am I here? What am I doing? Am I blocking the door? And I guess that door could swing both ways.
Yeah, I mean, I remember.
Thank you for Max-plaining.
I know.
I remember in college, I had a friend.
Shawn, how much did you give to the children of Southwest Detroit?
I mean, he's not wrong. Go ahead, Max. Your floor is finally yours.
I just remember once in college, I had a friend that I'm no longer friends with, but he was like seeing this girl, and she was clearly really into him, and he was not into her. And I was like, "You gonna break that shit off?" And he was like,
"Yeah, in her ass."
But we have Dave Matthews tickets in 2 months. Like, I'm trying to hang on. Like, so I think he did. I think he dumped her after the concert. Like,
the minute you said
for 2 more months,
I mean, he should have dumped her and not gone to the show. It's a win-win.
The minute you said he was looking forward to Dave Matthews, I didn't like this guy.
I know. Thank you. Hey, finally,
the rest of it's a bonus.
We finally agree on some music. Albert.
Finally, some agreement.
Yes, exactly. I can't stand him.
Yeah. Although I will say, I put Dave Matthews in the Bruce Springsteen camp, where I don't really care that much for them, but they do give you everything in a show. 3.5 hours of whatever it is.
Serious talent.
Yeah,
there.
stuff I don't want to see.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. Now I'd probably be good if they did a Morrissey show where they play 2 tunes and bail out, but they'll give you 3 hours.
Mike and I agree on the Springsteen,
which is what?
Thanks for boss-splaining.
You know what I mean? He just said he's not a fan of his.
I'm not either. I get him. I appreciate him.
What kind of room am I in?
I know. I heard you mention that earlier, Brian.
Rough.
Are you?
It's rough.
Yeah.
I like Bob Seger though, if that helps.
That's not what. Okay, I mean, I love Bob.
Kind of the same.
It's not the same
genre.
Yeah.
Genre, kind of.
I don't know.
For me,
Bruce
was his voice. I just don't like his voice.
Is Bob Seger yacht
music?
Rock? No. He's strictly classic. Are we okay with the classic label?
Yeah.
Max, I got a little falsetto at the end of that.
Yeah, no, I don't.
A little bit of harmonizing.
Have you done that before?
I think so.
Subjective.
I mean, I don't know if you've heard it, but I think I have.
It feels brave to go up an octave.
Yeah, I was just trying things when I was recording it, and it seemed to work, so I kept it.
It's a cool song.
Yeah,
very cool. I'm almost hesitant to tell you who it reminds me of a little bit because I don't want you to be insulted. I don't know if you like this band or not. I don't really know anything about this band, but when I listened to it, it made me think of a particular movie called Begin Again. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this
with
movie.
Mark Ruffalo and Keira Knightley. Mm-hmm. That one? Yeah, it's a pretty good movie.
And her ex-boyfriend's band, and he's a musician.
Oh, Maroon 5.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Adam Levine.
It reminded me a touch of that.
How dare you connect Max to that loser, Adam Levine, who's never going to go anywhere?
Do you get offended when people say, "Oh, it reminds me of this song," or
No.
"It sounds like this song"?
No, not at all.
Okay, because it reminded me of. Do you remember Local H? Does anybody remember the band Local H?
Yeah,
it kind of reminded me of that song a little bit. Their big song, which nobody remembers.
Oh, was it that Keep It Copacetic?
Yeah,
that's the one. That's the one where
change.
it's there's a chord in there that I think is similar to that.
But it changes with you at the end of it. But I don't know. Sorry.
So
I'm not a music critic.
I'm not either.
If You're Not Falling in Love by King's English. Will Saturday be the live debut of this tune too?
We've played it live before.
We have played it live.
That was the debut of the video.
Okay, so that's the world premiere
we are
of
playing
the video.
it, yeah.
But if you want to hear it performed live, go to the New Dodge Lounge this Saturday, which is February 8th. And maybe you start the evening with dinner at the Caju Cafe, and then you can hit all the great spots on the same night. Brian will be there, not Greg. Greg's out.
Except our drummer, Greg. He'll be there.
Both of them will be there.
You got to have him holding the beat down. At the Common Scolds at the New Dodge Lounge with Shasta Fox opening, King's English playing the second set, and then Common Scolds taking it home. $12 in advance, $15 at the door. You can get your tickets at thenewdodgelounge.com. Hope you can make it. And Brian Robillard, Max Prokop, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
What about Greg? Did you thank him?
Greg's out. Greg's done, except for the drummer. The drummer, we got to have him. If he couldn't keep a beat, we'd get rid of him too.
Our show's over too now, right?
Yeah.
No, we have a little more original Max Prokop music.
Oh, this I love this.
Everybody loves this beat. Yeah,
this is awesome.
Well done, Max.
Thank you, sir.
And this is where we
I thought we were done too, Shawn.
This is where we thank our donors to the show. No donors this week. Nobody has given us a one-time
could have edited that out.
contribution, but we do have a new soulmate, and that is Susan, who has decided that this show is worth a little bit of change from her pocket to keep us coming back week after week. So we really appreciate that. You can contribute to our show by joining us on Patreon. There's a link to that link at our website, which is mlsoulofdetroit.com. For $5 a month, you can watch the show. You can listen to the show without the insertion ads. You get the show before anybody else, and you get our monthly bonus episode, which we'll be posting soon. There's some other donor levels, which if you can give us more than $5 a month, we certainly appreciate it. We give you a little consideration for that. I think we threw out last week that if you commit to giving us $50 a month for a year, you can come and sit in on a show, something like that, which is pretty good. If you commit to $100 a month, you and Shawn can use the same commode during room 7609. That's for $100 a month. Shawn has only one request. It's the same one you heard in Ghostbusters. Don't cross the streams. That's all. You want to have a sword fight? That's up to you. For $100 a month, Shawn is willing to do that. And we know that there's nothing Shawn won't do to support quality podcasting except participate in the show. So thank you so much to Shawn as our sponsor for that. That's that we call that the Wizard of Pod. So you can do that for $100 a month, and it applies to the ladies too. We don't discriminate, and you can use whichever bathroom you're most comfortable with. We also want to thank the Caju Cafe for supporting us. Monday is Muscle Madness. Wednesday, it's karaoke. Thursday, the Bill Meyer Group Trio and the Open Blues Jam, one of the longest-running Open Blues Jams in Detroit. Friday, the music of Led Zeppelin. Saturday, I think they may have more music of Led Zeppelin. Sunday, it's the Super Bowl. Why not watch it at the Caju? Great food, great times. Do a little feather bowling at halftime if you don't want to see the halftime show. And next Monday, Tasha Owens and the Stable Dudes will be there. Stable Dudes Owen, I think it's... I mean, you know, who wouldn't like to go to a bar and meet some stable dudes? I think that's one of the few things that you find at bars these days. Is
this music isn't going to last too much longer, so come on.
You're just asking him to go slower now. You know?
I just finished, Shawn. So thank you very much. We only have a little bit of feedback this week, and it comes from our friend DJ Weiser, who says of last week's entry in room 7609, the Easy Band cover of This Charming Man, he says, sorry, that song sucks. So, hang the DJ, hang the DJ, hang the DJ. So I think that's it for us this week. We hope to see you Saturday out and about. We hope to see you next week, and we're about to record our super groovy bonus episode. I think we're going to be asking a special guest what Canada did to piss us off so much. Mexico, by the way, has already capitulated, so maybe this bonus episode will be a moot point, because I don't know. They're talking tough up there, and I don't want to pay any more for Tim Hortons than I'm already paying, so we'll see if we can resolve this thing peacefully. But special thanks again to our guests, Brian Robillard, Max Prokop. Come see them, follow them, check out the new tune. Shawn and Marc, I guess we actually can't do this without you, so thanks for being here. And until next week.
I love feeling appreciated.
Hey, Marc and Shawn, it's great to have you here.
Where's Cyrus?
He's about to come in, Shawn, and singularly take you out.
Can you dig that?
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Oh, that is stunning.
Shawn's always dreaming up a lot of ways to ruin our lives. The metric system, for the love of God.
Do not panic. I'm in complete control. There's a time to think. There's a time to act. And this, gentlemen, there's no time to think. Move out!
Welcome to the Soul of Detroit.